Hey guys, how are you? I have a great guest today. I can call him my friend. His name is Brian Nabavi. And I'm going to do a little bit of a different intro in regard to Brian and his bio. I'm going to share his bio from his perspective. I love the way he writes it on his website, and I think it's really cool to share that with you. So it says, the reason I do what I do, family and freedom. Freedom to spend quality time with my wife of 18 years and my four beautiful children. They are my why. I have core values not only for my business, but for myself. I hold myself to the highest standard possible. I make sure I lead by example by taking action. I wouldn't tell anyone to do anything I haven't done myself. I'm consistently humbled by surrounding myself with people who are better than me and who have done the things that I want. That helps me push myself to be more and more disciplined in chasing my goals by setting new ones as soon as I achieve one. Lastly, once you get to know me, you'll realize I keep it real, and he really does. I'm always going to tell you how it is because sugarcoating stuff doesn't help me or you. I've been in the fitness industry for 23 years and quit my six-figure job as a GM of sales for a franchise gym back in 2014 and took the hugest risk of pursuing business entrepreneurship. After losing everything, I started my business with only $300 and worked day and night until I scaled my first company from zero to multiple seven figures, on track to turn it into an eight-figure brand with 7 employees and growing. I also started a CBD brand, and with the help of my partner, we're on track to grow our CBD company to multiple six-figure brand in under a year. If I could offer you any advice, I'd say make sure no matter what you do, take action constantly, balance with humility, and always be willing to learn new things. No matter how much you don't know it all, and you can always learn something new. If you're content with where you are, keep going, keep your head down and grind. If you're having trouble, you're running into roadblocks, or just looking for general advice and mentorship on business, fitness, or mindset, he's the guy to go to. And, I do have to say the reason that I asked Brian to be on the show is because I had met him on a business trip he was a speaker at, and he was just an incredible speaker. And what stood out about him so significantly was his humility. He got up there, and all the other speakers, everybody's very successful. The people in the room are also successful. And Brian talks about his grind and the difficult times. He talks about how he lost money and how he had nothing. He talks about his unbelievable work ethic. And I just think he's just a great person to listen to and learn from. And just the thing that really I learned was the power of authenticity and humility. I've purchased Brian's, he has a clothing line that I love, and probably the best, what are they called? Leggings I've had, even better than Lululemon. So I love his work ethic, and he's going to tell you all about the different things he does. So without any further ado, here's my friend, Brian Nabavi. Hey, guys, how are you today? It is Allison from Allison Answers and Lager Counseling Services. And I just noticed that my pillows are ruffled. Okay, so this is a show that will tell you about imperfection, and it's set up just like that. So as I had said in the bio about my dear friend, Brian, this man showcases humility and excellence all in one package. He is a success-driven man of integrity, core values. I really asked him, I act like I chose him to be on the podcast. Well, actually, he agreed to be on the podcast. He's like, doing us a favor.
You've been hunting me down. You've been hunting me
I'm
down.
like, damn, would you come on my podcast? And it's because
I like
I
the
do. He
determination.
likes to be chased, for God's sakes. But
Yes,
anyhow,
yes.
yes. But yeah, Brian, welcome. I'm so honored to
Thanks for
have you, and
having
I
me. Of
truly mean
course.
it.
I
I would
appreciate
just
that.
want you to share what I heard when we were in Cancun, when you were a speaker. You had shared your backstory, and I thought it was so
Hmm.
powerful.
For
And
sure.
if you could share some of that, where you've gotten and what you do now, because he does everything.
I
He's a
do a lot of things.
badass.
I do a
His
lot of things.
Titus. He does. And he's a hard worker. Okay, I'll be quiet.
100%. No, that's okay.
Go,
So
Brian.
one thing I want to be clear with to everyone listening is it's okay to lose. Don't be ashamed to lose. Don't be embarrassed at your losses. And you're going to lose more than you win. That's a fact. I've lost more than I've won. You see me now, I have a little bit of success. I don't even think I have any success, but my losses, I've lost a lot more times than I've won. And I try to share them and I try to be, vulnerable and real and share those things because I know people out there relate with them. Because honestly, people are out there losing and they feel like they're always losing. But here's the thing, you only have to win one time. You win one time and it can change your life. And you keep going. You get knocked down, you get back up, dust yourself off, you keep going. So as far as me, I love fitness. Fitness is my passion. I was a chubby kid. I taught myself to work out when I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
And I got in shape throughout high school. And then I got into the fitness industry. I got into personal training. I help people transform their lives, lose almost 200 pounds, some of my clients, crazy transformations. And I also was a top salesperson as well as a top trainer. I used to broke company records. I sold about $40,000 in personal training in 1 month. So a huge amount of money revenue wise. I am Persian, so we love sales. I love selling everything to everyone. I'm a salesman at heart. I love sales. And so I was breaking company records. I was changing people's lives. And that's what I love doing. The passion behind fitness was I changed my life and I knew what it did for me physically. I knew what it did for me mentally. So I loved helping people do that. So that was about 13 years ago that I hit a low point. I lost everything. I left fitness to get into the real estate industry. Everyone I knew, this was about 2007, everyone I knew was going from fitness to real estate loans, and there was huge money in it. And this is another lesson I want you guys to listen to that I learned and I lost from is I left my passion chasing money. And a lot of people chase money. We all want money. We all want to get money. How do we get money? Well, the magic is blending your passion and money together, right? That's you if you leave something you love for the money, you're not going to do it for that long. You're gonna fizzle out. When it gets tough, you're gonna give up because you don't love it, right? So I left my passion and I chased money and I made crazy money. Back then I was 20, 25, 26 years old. I had just had my first child at that age. And that really motivated me. Obviously I'm always been a sole provider. I pride myself of providing for my family, being a father, being a husband. It's really, I'm old school. I pride myself on that. It's my everything. So, I'm like, I need to make more money. I'm starting a family. Let me go see what this is about. I went and did that and I made crazy money. I mean, at 25 years old, I made like 100 grand the first month or two. And I'd never seen money like that. I mean, before that, I was making maybe 40 grand a year, going from 30, 40 grand a year to 100 grand in a month. That's kind of eye-opening, right? That's
Yes.
life-changing. I never saw that kind of money before in my life. I never felt that kind of money. So anyone relating to me knows, especially at that age, I'd never really experienced it. I'm like, oh shit, time to ball out. Right? I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be a millionaire. Let me just start spending this money. And I was stupid with the money. I spent a lot of the money, cars, nice things, whatever, um, I was just a typical 24, 25-year-old. At that point, I hadn't had my first child. That was right before that. So I was about 24, 25 and a half is when I had my first child. So I was, spending a lot of money. And then, it's going good. I'm making money. And I was in this about a year before I kind of lost everything. Had my first child, still making money. And then shit hit the fan, with the whole real estate crash of 2008. Shit hit the fan. And I'm a very stubborn person. I don't like to quit. I don't like to give up. I will keep going, try to figure out a way. Even if there's not a way, I'm not a quitter, right? So I stayed in the industry, even though I really didn't like it, but I was making money. I was going to figure it out, And by staying in it, I was going through, I still had some money saved up, by staying in it, though, I really wasn't making any money. And obviously at this point I have one child, sole income. And, I'm living in California. It's expensive out here, right? Well, where you're from is expensive
Yeah.
too. And, I'm going through my money, not really bringing any income in. And then at that point, it got to a point where I basically lost everything. Couldn't even pay my bills, couldn't pay my rent, got all my cars repoed. I racked up credit card debt trying to survive, paying my bills on credit card, probably about 50 grand.
Mm.
And then kind of got to the point where I lost everything. And I remember that moment as a father and a husband feeling failure. Like this was my biggest, most prideful accomplishment, being a father, being a husband, being a provider.
Yeah.
This is who I am, and I can't even do this. You know what I mean? So talk about being at a low, low point, probably the lowest point I've ever been.
Yeah.
Um, and I still have that chip on my shoulder to this day. I mean, right now, waking up at 5 a.m., doing what I need to do, grinding how I grind, like I have zero in my bank account still. I'm
Yes.
multimillionaire. I'm a
Yes.
multimillionaire. I'm successful. I don't feel successful because I have goals that are so big that this is like the beginning of my goals right now.
Yes.
But I still grind every day like I'm that broke person.
Yeah.
And that chip on my shoulder keeps me going because I'm terrified to go back there, and I
Mm.
can't go back there. There's no
Yes.
option.
Yes.
There's no option to go back there.
Yeah.
So I got back into my passion. I'm like, fuck this. I'm gonna get back into fitness. It's what I love. I miss it. I'll figure it out. So I'm not gonna be a personal trainer anymore. I need more money. I need to get into sales. Obviously, I'm good at sales. Sales is where the money's at. I got into selling memberships, and within a year, I climbed the company ranks, and I went from making 20, 30, 40K a year selling memberships. Not that much money, right? Not that much
Yeah.
money. And at this point, I had two kids, a wife, a sole income in California. That's broke as fuck. Let's be real. You know what I
It
mean?
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Hmm.
that's that. So I went from that to I got promoted to general sales manager of gyms, the gym basically, and I got promoted to a huge club over 100,000 square feet. So I'm managing the whole sales force, trainers, membership sales, doing sales training, doing everything, managing the sales, the goals monthly. And that gig was 150K a year gig. So the more money than not more money than I ever made in my life, not as much money as the real estate thing, but good money. A lot of people strive to make six figures, right? It's their
Hmm.
end all be all. But even in California, at this time, obviously I'm continuously to have kids. I like to practice. I like having kids. You know what I mean? So so
Yes.
so so I'm continuously having kids, and still one income, three kids, 150K a year, still broke, even making that kind of money, right?
Definitely. Right.
Yeah, right. So I'm like, living this life, and I love the gym. I love sales. So I'm doing what I love. So I'm not complaining. I love this shit. During my lunch break, I'm working out an hour, 2 hours a day. I'm in my early 30s, late 20s. I'm looking better than ever. I'm doing what I love, making okay money, I guess, but I'm working so much. I'm working 9 to 9. I'm working 7 days a week. I'm not seeing my family. I'm not seeing my kids. I'm missing their sports. I'm going to work when they're asleep. I'm coming home when they're asleep. And
Mm.
for me, my kids and my family is my everything. So it's like I'm sitting back having this realization: A, I'm not getting any time with them. So yeah, I'm providing and I'm doing what I love. I'm enjoying myself. I'm not complaining, right? But I'm not seeing them. I'm not a part of their life, right? And another thing is cars. As a kid, cars were my thing. I had posters of Ferraris and Lamborghinis all over my house. How do I drive these kind of cars? And I had a realization. I'm like, you know, A, number one, I get zero time with my family. B, number two, how am I going to drive these kind of cars broke? Like I'm not gonna. I can't even afford food. How much? So I'm like, what can I do? And this is about 10 years ago. 10 years ago in a couple months, when I started my first company.
Wow.
I'm 31 years old. I turned in June. I turned 41. So it's been about 10 years. I started at
Wow.
31, guys. So if you're listening, I started at 31. So you think it's too late.
Yes.
It's not too late. Yeah, it's not too late.
Never
You can
too
start at any
late.
age, right? You can start at
Never.
any age.
Yes.
Exactly. So I'm like, what the fuck? I know I still have to stay in the fitness. What am I going to do? And I just came up with this name, Till You Collapse. Till You Collapse is a lifestyle. It's a mindset. It's a way of life. And that's what the brand stands on. It's motivational. It's inspirational. Like, how much do you put into everything you do in life? Like, I'm asking you guys listening. Do you go till you collapse? What kind of fucking effort do you put in your job, your relationships, your own mental health, your physical health. How much effort are you putting in realistically when you look yourself in the mirror and you think about it? And that's what the brand stands for. Are you going till you collapse every single day? Are you leaving all in the field? Are you leaving everything out there? At the end of the day, can you say, I fucking gave it my all in everything I do? And most people, the reality is you can't.
No.
We can't.
Yep.
And the premise is if you do give everything your all every day, that's how you reach goals. That's how you reach excellence. That's how you win. By giving that kind of effort day after day, it fucking adds up and you start winning. But if not, if you're giving this 20, 30, 40, 50% half-ass effort, you're never going to really be great in anything. You may just get by, like you see all these people just getting by, but who the fuck wants to get by, right? So that's what the brand, the name behind the brand stands for. And I built it up for about a year, selling slanging shit out of my trunk, you know, doing what I had to do. I just had $300 and I started. And if you're listening, just start. I had
Yes.
$300. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I
Yes.
still don't know what the fuck I'm doing half the time.
Yes.
In reality.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, so everybody, all you guys listening, want to make sure everything's perfect, all the stars are aligning. You need to go to all these, you do all this shit. No, actually, what you need to do is take action and just start and figure it
Jump.
out.
Yes.
Jump and figure it out.
Yes.
And that's what I did. And I was, I became a clothing designer. I became a photographer. I became a website designer. I became everything. And,
Yes.
this was back 10 years ago. There's no podcast. There's none of this shit online where you could just YouTube everything. YouTube didn't even exist. So it was a lot different then than it is now, right?
Yeah.
Google was my friend. I was still learning shit off of Google. But after the first year, I built it up. That first year, talk about working hard and working crazy. That first year, I probably realistically worked 18, 20-hour days, literally. Not these people that say they're working a lot. Like I was working my full-time gig, and then I was building this shit up on the side, right? So I'd work like 7 to 7, and then I'd see my kids for dinner for like an hour, and then I would work 8 to 2 a.m. And that was like clockwork. You know what I mean? Like, I was doing this, doing two things at once. And then what I did is, after a year, I built it up to 6 figures. 6 figures gross, which 6 figures gross, you're netting maybe half that if you're lucky. Still 50K, 40K, not shit, right? But I was like, you know what? I couldn't do it. I was burning the candle at both ends. I really wasn't getting any time with my family, less than ever, even before. And I was like, I know I have to give this my all. I knew there was something there. It was bringing in 6 figures. It was growing, but I couldn't. I was giving it all I could, and then I spent all this time. My first time gig, full-time gig, I knew I had to take that leap and just do it full time, which is scary because at this point I have a family of 5 of us, sole income, and I'm grossing 100K. That's netting 50K in California. You can't even support a family at that income, but like combined with my 150K and that, I was making good money, right? But like I couldn't continue going down that route. So, and at this point, that job was offering me a raise, 200 plus K a year. They wanted me to do a district position. They knew I was getting ready to leave. They didn't want me to leave. I was one of the top salespeople manager in the company. So I have this dangling 200 plus K a year, kind of more comfortable. But still, even at that money, I wasn't getting the freedom and the time with my family, which was everything. And then I still wasn't going to be driving Lambos and Ferraris at that pay scale. So I'm like, that's still not. So fuck it, I'm going to take this. And I remember I quit, and that was 9 years ago. This August, I was a year in, and I quit at the top of my game. Everyone thought I was crazy. Everyone thought I was crazy. My family thought I was crazy. My friends thought I was crazy. Everyone's like, "You're gonna sell T-shirts to support your family?" You know what I mean?
Love it. Mm-hmm.
And then I don't want to too long in this origin story, but I do want to tell this part. When I quit and I went all in, that first 4 years, and this is where you guys don't get. You guys think, entrepreneurship's easy. It can come quick. This shit is hard and it's very scary. And for those first 4 years, I was literally working 15 hours a day to build this company, making less money than ever. Because I have a sole income. I didn't have the 150K salary anymore. I was 100%, the company's revenue was my money. That was sole income for a family of 5 in California. I was making the first year 100K, second year 130K, third year 160K. Do the math. Cut that in half if you're lucky, less than that. And that's what I'm netting supporting a family in California. And that little chip on my shoulder, going back to losing everything, I got close to that during those 4 years
Yeah.
because I literally didn't have enough money to pay my bills. I was hustling stuff on the side. I was flipping stuff on the side. I was making money on the side just to pay my minimum bills for that first 4 years. That's just hard. That's just hard.
Yes.
Like when you're working
Mhm.
15 hours a day and you're not even making enough money to pay your bills,
Yep.
that's hard. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
So
100%.
that's the position I was in. Continue to build it up. The 5th year kind of had a breakout. I totally revamped the company, revamped the products, revamped everything. Went from our lowest year ever, when like everyone was like, "You got to quit this. You got to stop doing this." We were running out of our house and our garage. That went from 80K gross that worst year. I
Yeah.
said, "Fuck this. I got to treat this as a real business. I got to move this out of my house. I got to have a warehouse. I got to have employees." It was holding me back, like, being at home all day. It wasn't like a real
Yeah.
business. It was,
Right.
so they're like, "What are you talking about? You're getting a warehouse. You just had the worst year ever." That's what I did, right? I went all in and I totally revamped the products, revamped the company. And we went from 80K to 1.1 million, literally, like
Freaking love
in
this.
like 6 months. It was crazy, right?
Yes.
But like, it's like you pay your dues and you put in that time, and
Yes.
every company is different. It may be a year with some companies, it may be
Hmm.
10 years with some companies,
Hmm.
but you don't give up. You pivot and you figure it out and you change things, and it's going to happen as long as you pay your dues and you put in the work, right? And then continue to grow the company. And yeah, we are here now, 10 years in August, and I'm doing what I love. I have a couple other companies as well, so I don't do just one thing anymore. But I have the freedom that I want, and I love my life. And I'm 40 years old, and I'm thankful for everything at this point right now.
Listen, I got to tell, I was writing stuff down because I have questions for you
Yeah, for
because
sure.
I love, so what you just described, it's like what I wanted to scream when you were talking is you burned your ships.
Oh,
You
100%. Yeah.
like the story where the story and most people
Yeah.
do. It's like you're going to
Yeah.
go fight and no matter you've decided like the
Yep.
definiteness of purpose. When we make a
Mm-hmm.
decision, it is such a power move and we
Yep.
marry that damn decision. I'm going to do this and I'm going to succeed. And I feel like I've had to feed my kids oatmeal because I didn't have any money. I've
Yeah.
been in the same business. I've had this business for 30 years, but and that's like the overnight success is 30 years
Yeah.
long,
Oh,
whatever,
yeah.
20
Yeah.
years long, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, so there's so many things, there's so many like golden things that you said that I wanted to dig into. One is, I feel like when you've had those moments where you had that chip, where you had those dark times, I feel like we grow so much in the dark. And like
Mm-hmm.
one of the things, like when we think about, I remember people would ask, like, "Oh, what's your why?" And I would really, because it's such a common question, but I really realized that a why for me is to develop an complete trust, like to trust myself. And what I'm wondering, have you developed that trust for yourself that that no matter if something gets dark and dead and you don't know what the hell
Mm-hmm.
to do, that you're going to do it? Do you have that?
100%. A
You do,
hundred
right?
percent. Oh yeah. You have to. You have
Yep.
to have that.
Yes.
You have to have that to be successful. You have to have that to burn the boats. I mean, you talk about burning the boats, and a lot of mistake a lot of people do is they
Yeah.
don't do that. They don't burn the boats. They leave that little option
Yes.
in the back of their head because they're
Yes.
fully scared to commit 100%. And when you do that, you're almost setting yourself up for failure, because if there's an option B, if there's a safe space there,
Yes.
subconsciously we don't go as hard. When it gets dark, we don't push as hard, and we think, "Oh, I could always go back to that." And where if you
Yes.
burn the boats, there's no other option. Like, you have no option but to succeed, right?
Are you ready for me to go like weird frequency shit,
Yeah.
like
Oh, for sure.
spiritual?
Yeah,
So
do
basically,
it.
if you look at the neuroscience behind it, should I go there?
Yeah,
Basically, we
100%.
have these when we're like
I,
going
I
back and
love
forth.
this shit. I love
You
this
do?
shit.
Yeah.
I'm into mushrooms. I have
Yeah.
a mushroom
Oh yeah,
company.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know I'm into
mushroom
this shit.
guy. We got to
I'm
go
in
into the
this
freaking
shit.
mushrooms. Look, check this out. When we're going to make a decision, like let's say you have there's these neuron clusters that are responsible for each of these back and forth things. And so it's like Star Wars. They're like firing. When one neuron cluster is firing, the other one is inhibited and not firing. And your brain, you know how when you haven't made a decision, oh my God, I don't have any money. What
Yeah.
am I going to do? Blah, blah.
Yeah.
But when you said, you know what? F it. I'm going and I've decided that I'm going to be this. Now, do you know what happens to our brain? If it's not inflamed like real inflammation, but all that firing stops. And it's only one neuron cluster that won. And now your brain does all of its work to focus. It's even unconscious. We don't even know our brain's doing it. It has determined now it's going to find all the ways to make it work. But if you have that going on back and forth, that other neuron cluster is going to keep trying to fire and look for other ways out. So it's neurologically, plus you're creating your life, Brian. You're
100%.
like, I'm going to drive a Lambo. I'm going to like Brian, I'm going to do all this shit. And you decide and you marry it. That is the biggest power move, I think.
Well, just like like visualization. Visualization is huge. Like, you visualize it in vivid, extreme detail. You manifest it, and it's not just hocus pocus shit. Obviously, there has to be work behind it. There has to be discipline behind it. There has to be consistency behind it. But you combine that with the mindset and in your brain, the visual manifestation, all of that. There's truth behind that.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
science. And because I believe in the propaganda that they tried to make the whole manifestation like woo woo, prairie skirts, tree hugger. I am a tree hugger because I get electrons from it. But anyhow, but but also the thing about manifestation that is incredible. This is so crazy. So we manifest and then we become more and more detailed in it. So you're picturing your company, right? But you know what starts to happen, and I'm sure it's happened to you. The manifestation, the vision starts coming to you from infinite source intelligence, infinite genius, and it starts bringing all this vivid. So we think we're manifesting it. Once we put our foot in, it starts coming to us which is really incredible. So anyhow, I have that question. Then this is all the way back when you first were talking. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Of course.
And I don't want to trail off, but I want to ask you this.
Of course.
When you were little and you were chubby, because I know that there are tons of, we specialize in eating disorders. I know there's a lot of people on here that have issues like that. So do you ever find that, were you ever bullied? Do you ever find that that identity, like that it can crop up in stressful times, even though you're completely fit, like that shame feeling? Do you know what I mean?
I definitely was made fun of for my weight, for sure. That was one of the motivating factors to get in shape. And I've gotten in and out of shape a few times in my life. You know what I mean? So I've gained and lost probably 50, 60 pounds a few times in my life. And it did something that affects me mentally still, but I'm in a place mentally now at 40 years old that I've never been mentally, physically, spiritually, that I'll never go back. Like I'll never gain the weight back again, like I had in the past, but it definitely did affect me, and it helps drive me, and it helps motivate me to, whenever I feel weakness coming in, or whenever I don't want to, because I work out. I wake up every day and I do the stairs every day, cardio. I work out an hour plus a day. I do cold plunge, I do sauna, I do recovery. I'm in great shape for 40 years old, but I have shitty genetics. Like I put on fat and weight very easy. So for me to look the way I look, it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of conscious work to look this way for me. And everyone's different. Everyone has different genetics, and everyone can look a different way. Certainly for me, it's very hard. And a lot of intentional work goes in for me to look like this. And thankfully, I love the work. I love this shit. So for me, like, it's not like, oh, I have to eat healthier. Oh, I like eating shitty food, but like, oh, I have to work out. Like, I love to work out. So for me, thankfully, it's like part of me doing what I love. And then the benefit of that is I look great from it. You know what I mean?
Yes. And now I have to say something.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to get mad at me, but you're in California.
I'm not going to get mad at you.
Okay. So basically this is the thing. Every gene has 35,000 possible expressions. So I'm going to challenge you
Hmm.
till you collapse, guy. I'm going to challenge you to never again in your entire life until the day you die say
Hmm.
that it's hard for you and it's in your genetics. Could you never do that?
Okay.
Or why would you even listen to me? But maybe you would.
No,
Like,
I
why the
can
hell?
listen to
Like, I
you.
don't know.
I can listen to you.
But you know why?
Yeah.
Because I want people out there to hear that because
Uh,
just because it's in our genetics, like
hmm.
I have had, I was hospitalized for an eating disorder for 28 days in my
Hmm.
20s. Like the belief system that we have is a driving dictator of our entire life. It creates everything. So you are a man who works and you're a
Yep.
hard ass. You do
I
that
get.
shit and you love
I
it.
I get where you're going with it. And here's the thing:
Where am I going?
there's no excuse for like it's not something to use as a crutch and excuse. And I hear it all the time. Trust me, I've trained hundreds of people,
Yeah.
and they're like, all my genetics and my genetics, and something people put out there as an excuse.
Yes.
Well, one of my core values is fuck your excuses. Like there's no
Yes.
excuses, and it is science. Like some people can eat 4,000 calories and they're leaner
Yes.
physically. Some people eat 4,000 calories and they put on a lot of fat. It's science, but regardless of what it is, you got to get the result, period. With
Yes.
business, with fitness, it's like, it doesn't matter if that's your genetics, but I
Yes.
get it. Stop
Wait, I
saying that.
want to
Stop
pick your
putting that in
brain.
there.
I
Yeah.
want to pick your brain
Yeah.
because I'm really not sure about this. I
Yeah.
want to know.
For
This is
sure.
what I think, but it doesn't mean I'm right. If somebody could eat 4,000 calories, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have witnessed in my own self that when I was meditating and meditating and meditating on my body, like the being eating and living and believing like a thin person a certain way, that I noticed that the way that my body processed foods changed. Do you think,
I,
what do you think?
I
Because
think
I
that's
really believe
possible.
that.
Listen. I think it's
Yeah.
possible because I think, as far as me, one of my biggest strengths is my mind and
Yes.
my mindset, and that's
Yes.
gotten me where I am. And that's what I do. I do coaching and mentorship, and one of my big I do fitness, business, and mindset. And the
Yeah.
biggest thing is your mind. So I 100% believe in that because I believe the mind controls so much shit that we're still figuring out. There's shit they
Yes.
still haven't even figured out. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
I 100% that goes right in kind of the manifestation and visualization thing. That's the same difference,
Yes.
kind of, but it's with your body physically. I 100% believe in that.
So
Yes.
so it's interesting because when you were describing like losing weight, gaining weight,
Yeah.
that I feel like it, parallels money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's the same kind of thing, right? And
Hmm.
what I was wondering is because I'm curious about you because I know that you're so authentic and you share like
Hmm.
your struggles when it comes to like
Hmm.
money and stuff. What do you think is in terms of money itself as a concept? Because I always tell people
Hmm.
it's just a concept. I'm
For
just
sure.
curious what
For
you
sure.
feel like about money.
Well, it's just, I mean, here's the thing. It's you're only as rich as you are in your mind and you believe you are. You know what I mean? Like as
Yes.
long as you're healthy and happy, like I wake up every day with gratitude. Like everyone asks me how I'm doing, and I'm like, well, I fucking woke up today, so everything else is extra. Like I'm doing great. And yeah, it's like
Yes.
it's nice to have these nice things and have goals and whatnot, but at the end of the day, they really don't matter. I mean, as
No.
long as you're healthy and you're happy and how your outlook is and how you're living your life, you're rich in so many different areas. Money is a
Yes.
concept that, they brought up. And yeah, you need money to buy things and you need money to get places, but you don't need money to be happy. You know what I
No.
mean? I don't believe in
Yes.
that at all. Yeah.
Right.
So, because, but like I told you, like right now, as far as company wise, we're struggling. Like
Yeah.
the last 2, 3 years, like ever since COVID, the last couple years since COVID, I mean, this is the lowest revenue we've had in this company in a long time. And
Yeah.
it's reminded me of back towards those first 4 years
Yeah.
I told you about. And I'm reminded of those times and I fucking love it. And the thing is that in reality, like I'll make as much in a month now as I've made in 24 hours. So think
Mm.
about that. Like I've made
Yeah.
as much in 24 hours as I'm
Yeah.
making in a month now.
Right.
But guys, if you're listening to this, that's fucking life. There's gonna be ups and downs. It's not gonna just be this fucking little rocket ship going this way. And the thing is, if you build yourself up mentally, and what you build yourself up mentally is you go through the shit. Like you have to go through this shit. You have to lose. Like I told you, you're gonna lose. You're gonna get knocked down. Those experiences, that grit you build up, the lessons you learn, that builds you for times like this where I'm just smiling and loving this shit and figuring it out and pivoting and living because I'm happy. You know what I mean? So it's just like
Yes.
I woke up today. So we're doing okay. You know what I mean?
Yes. And happiness and gratitude just brings things to us. There's,
Yeah.
there's, I just wanted to reference, I remember Andy Frisella said to us at a
Mm-hmm.
summit, somebody said they were struggling with money. And he said, that's great. He was like, that
Yeah.
is great. I love when I get that feeling. And he's like a whatever billionaire.
Yeah.
And he's like, but he's saying like it reminds you, it keeps you, in that place. What I
100%.
wanted to ask you, we were talking off camera about the idea of
Mm-hmm.
that. I was saying that any success I've had, I know God had showed me that I wasn't telling the truth about where my success came from. Because, I have like these 8 years of college and and whatever, this business that, I appear so successful and whatever. And I was allowing people to misunderstand where my success was coming from. So he told me that I'm hiding my talent for way too long. And what
Mm.
my real talent was every dark struggle that I went through and climbed out of. I muscled
Mm-hmm.
out of through pivoting my mind, and that is where my education was. So we were discussing that the incredible value of, so now you're having this period of time, but would you say that it's building something in you that it's
Oh,
like an
oh,
investment?
100%.
Yes.
100%. Yeah. What I've learned even already is invaluable. Like I needed to go through this to even take my company to the next level. So
Yes.
there's purpose behind it. Everyone
Yes.
looks at losing and struggles as a negative. I
No.
honestly look at them as a positive. I
Yes.
used to look at them as a negative
Yes.
back, when I first,
Hmm.
but now, and we all grow and evolve, right? Like me
Yes.
at 40 years old, I'm a totally different person than I was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Like I'm always changing, always adapting, and always evolving. But you have to have the mindset. You got to be open to do that. Like some people are so set in their ways and so closed off mentally that they're not going to ever change regardless. Like their way is the best way. And those people always end up really losing and then they never come back from it because they have that mindset.
Yes. It's
So,
so interesting when you think about, you know, there's people, obviously, who think that people who have wealth or who are, like, I believe success is our obligation. Having money is our obligation. When I think about my money, I take any money that I'm writing whatever for digitally or giving to someone, I command over the money that it can never be used for evil. There's no authority over that. If it comes through my hands, the only place it's going is good. And I don't mean that I'm sending it to a charity. I mean, even if it goes to the electric company, it's only being used for that. And like,
mm,
it's like the soldiers, you send them out to do good, right?
hmm.
And I think that people who succeed are given a bad rap,
Oh
and seen
yeah.
as like
Oh yeah.
selfish, and it's just
Oh
bullshit, people. I'm just
yeah.
saying, it's
It's
so
a
much
hundred.
bullshit.
It's 100% bullshit.
It's
It's
like beyond belief.
it's what it is. Here's what it boils down to. It's the
Preach,
masses
Brian.
out. It's the masses out there.
Yes.
It's which is 95% or whatever the masses out there that are living comfortable lives, giving 20-40% daily, and they see people with success, they see people with money or whatever it may be, and let's be real, at the end of the day, everyone at the core wants some piece of that. Or at some point they had a goal. They wanted to reach this, they wanted to drive that, they wanted to do this, and they see that and it hits their own insecurities. And it hits them and their insecurities that, they're not there because they're not willing to do what it takes to get there. They're
Yes.
comfortable. They're putting in 20% effort. They're working 9 to 5 and that's it. And they want that too, but you're not willing to do what it takes to get that. So fuck you. I'm gonna shit on you and label you and talk all this about you when really you're mad at yourself inside, and that anger and nastiness comes out towards other people, right?
Yes.
It's just their own insecurities coming out, unfortunately. And it's
100%.
and that's just the way it is. No matter how, I've seen it, all types of people. It doesn't matter. It could be the nicest person. And I'm a real nice guy too, especially when you get to know me,
Yes.
but obviously you
No.
see me from the outside,
Yes.
my exterior is a little rough, and people once they get to know me, like, oh shit, you're a great guy. But like, you could be the nicest person, you know, and they still get that rap.
You
Doesn't
know,
matter.
I'll tell you, I tend to like bend toward like this whole like propaganda and like I'm not a
Yeah.
conspiracy theorist.
No,
Well,
I
maybe
mean,
I am.
I'm the
I mean,
same
I
way.
don't
I'm the same way. Yeah.
I feel like
Um,
we've been sold the biggest bill of goods,
oh,
and like people like us need to tell everybody that it's
mm,
not true. Like we've been
100%.
told that money's hard to get, that you have to
Mm-hmm.
struggle, and anybody who gets it, I mean, why do people have that belief? They believe
Mm-hmm.
that they're not good enough to get it, that
Mm-hmm.
you have to, go through this path of mediocrity,
Mm-hmm.
and that is just life. And
Well,
anybody
that's
who
that's
does anything other than that
mhm.
is doing it illegally or in a mean way.
Yeah, a
It's
hundred
just
percent.
bullshit,
Well, that's
right?
the system. That's what they want everyone
Yes.
to be put in. They want everyone to be
Yeah.
that in that system. Yeah.
I heard something, Brian. I swear, I wish I could find it. I'm going to tell you, but
Yeah.
it was like somebody was talking about the history of education. Okay. So, and they were saying that the whole uh, premise behind education is to take generations, like 3, 4 generations, and lower their drive and this whole
Mm-hmm.
thing and make them complacent to be able to
Yeah.
be led,
Yeah.
right? And basically we break out of that and we're
A
telling
hundred
people you
percent.
can too.
Yeah. They don't like that. Yeah. They want you to be comfortable. They want you to work 9 to 5, pay your taxes, barely get by.
But it's
That's what they
not
want.
comfortable. Is it
No,
comfortable? When
no.
I sleep a little later, I want to just crumble up and throw myself in the garbage. I hate it,
Yeah.
right? I love what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, what would you say is the best mindset to have for somebody who's struggling in any one of those places that you work? Like you're a very hard worker,
Mm-hmm.
right? What would you say is the best mindset for someone who can't pay their bills right now,
Mm-hmm.
or can't lose weight? They believe they can't lose weight,
Mm-hmm.
all of that.
Well,
What would
here's the
you
thing.
tell them?
It's action and small wins turn your mind in the right direction. So you got to take one little day at a time, one little step at a time, one little win at a time, because everyone's looking for these huge wins. They want to move the needle a huge amount. That's not what it's about. It's barely moving the needle every single day and creating that momentum very slowly. Before you know it, that momentum is so fucking huge you can't deny it. And then you believe in yourself, and your mind gets to that place that you're unstoppable. So it's not something you just wake up and you just have it. Like when I was young, I had shitty, self esteem. My mindset was weak. I was an introvert naturally. Like I'm like who I've created now is based off of 40 years. Like you look at me now, like I'm 40 years in this game called life, building this person that I want to be through action and through learning and through so if your mindset, if you're broke, if your fitness, set small goals and reach those small goals every day, and that's a win for you. So the problem most people have is they're so down, they're not setting any goals, they're not pushing themselves, and they act like they're so busy and they don't have enough time. They have so much time. You're working 9 to 5. You have half of the day where you're not doing shit. So if you have problems with money, if you have problems with money, find a way with half of your day you're not doing shit to make some more money. And with fitness, get active. Monitor what you put in your body and have a small win, and then the mindset will follow. And I believe in fitness before everything. Like fitness, like when I coach my
Yeah.
clients, like we focus on their fitness, and every single time we get their fitness right, their businesses explode. Their
100%.
businesses follow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what?
Yeah.
To the degree that we personally develop, I think everybody's looking outside to feel better. But if you go inward and you change, you transform, right?
Yep.
The water level raises, everything raises, right? The small wins. To
Mm-hmm.
me, I swear to you, Brian, small is the new big. Like I feel like people have to
100%.
get that. And what one of the things that turned me around with my actual eating disorder was I was so obsessed with whatever I did that day. I expected it to happen that day. Like,
No.
it's obviously weird. You have to be able to accept, an object at rest stays at rest. An
Mm-hmm.
object in motion stays in motion. So it's like, to me, I don't want to stop because I don't
100%.
want to have to gain that momentum.
Yep.
I was running
Yep.
on a treadmill and I had like, it was an orange theory. So basically you have to get like to the orange thing, a certain heart rate. And like, as soon as it went down, like that one thing, and they're telling you to walk now, I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm keeping that up there, right? I want to stay. So everybody's walking and I'm like running because I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to lose the momentum.
Yeah, for sure.
How would you explain? Because I want to understand the Persian culture and hard work and
Mm-hmm.
selling. Help us
Yeah.
to understand how to sell, because even though I sell because I sell what I believe in.
Uh-huh.
But I know that it's hard for me. Like, I'm going to get your advice. It's
Yeah.
hard for me to promote my book, even though I know it would help people. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
trying to do that here to promote it. I
For
just,
sure.
I know that
Well,
like certain things like
let's
that.
dig into that. Why?
Um,
Because
it's
it's your
definitely,
book. It's
yeah.
gonna help people.
I'm
Why
afraid
you
they're
have
going
that
to make
feeling?
fun of it or there'll be something wrong with it.
But why do you care the fuck what they think?
There you go. Talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got over that a long time ago. You know, if you
You
want
know
to be
what? I'm not
successful,
fully over that.
you're not obviously because you
No,
said what you just said. Yeah,
I do
you're not.
care. I
Yeah,
tell people not to care, but I do.
yeah.
I think it's best for
So
everybody not to. How do you
so then
not
what?
care what other people think? I can tell you the majority of people listening to this want to know this answer.
I mean, like I said, if you dictate your decisions and what you're doing based on what other people will think, you're never going to be truly authentically yourself.
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing people have with social media, with everything they do nowadays. Everything's so polished, everything's so perfect. They don't share the losses, all that kind of shit, right? Because they want to make sure everyone likes them. They want to make sure everyone thinks they're perfect, and they want to make sure all that kind of stuff. So it's crazy in society. Most people make their decisions day to day based on what someone else is going to think. What about what the
100%.
fuck you think? Is my
Exactly.
question. You make your decisions based off what the fuck you think. That's what I say.
Yes.
And everything
Yes.
else will follow. And here's the thing, regardless what you do, most people aren't going to like you, or they're going to like you, whatever fucking bucket you decide. If you make your decisions based on what other people will think, there's still going to be half the people don't like you regardless, and the half the people are going to love you. And then if you are authentically yourself, it's going to be the same difference. So my
Yeah.
question to you, why the fuck aren't you yourself?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And
You look at
it's,
you look in the mirror, and how does that make you feel?
yeah. No, I hear you. And I think that the value that people will get from this is incredible because I preach this. But then if I ask myself like, and I can be super confident in a lot of different areas, but it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting that, in that book it talks about, those hard times, the trauma and all the different things in my life. So I think about maybe I'm still not listening to God and like saying, this is really this is where I came from. This is the reality,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you know what? Nobody likes a perfect person.
Mm-mm. No.
And no. And
And
don't
and
you think,
nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect.
no.
They can act like they are, but they're not. We all got our own shit.
Let me ask you something. What do you think of social media? Think it's like high school?
Oh, I like I said, social media. I'm old school. I was born in the '80s. So for me, I there's parts of me that hate social media, but
Yeah.
obviously I love social media because I built what I built off social media, all this kind of shit, right? So I do see the benefits of it, but there's times that I just want to throw my hands up and say, fuck it, I hate
Yes.
this shit. I want to go back to the '80s and '90s, because
Yes.
I miss those times. But there is a huge tool about it. The problem is how much people get sucked into the superficial aspect of it, the worried about what other people think, all that kind of
Yes.
shit.
Yes. You're
So
funny, Brian.
yeah.
What do you got going? You got something going.
No, yeah, I just always got shit going. No, it's
Me
not
too.
stop.
Me
It's
too.
nonstop.
I
Like I
get
said,
it. I get it.
yeah,
I've been
yeah,
in here. People open the door. I'm like, close the door. Go. But
yeah.
so Brian, tell what would you say is the greatest thing that this is a hard question, I think, the
Mhm.
greatest thing you've ever learned and that you continue to utilize. And Yeah.
Probably the greatest thing I ever learned is just like with anything in life, in all fucking aspects, you get out what you put in.
Yes.
And that's something people don't get. These people want these huge goals, these amazing lives, this lavish shit, whatever it may be. Everyone likes different things, and then they're they're, they're putting in minimum effort in all areas. Like I said, we are capable of greatness physically, mentally, in so many areas, and so many people just don't even realize what you can do on your own. Like I barely graduated high school, and I went from broke as a joke to a millionaire on my own. I didn't have any employees. I didn't have anything.
Yes.
I used Google. I figured it out, right?
Yes.
So it's like, it's just, but I was putting in crazy amount of effort. Had a crazy amount of belief. I had a crazy amount of everything, and it took me years, but it took years of not wavering from that. It's not going to happen in a week. It's not going to happen in a month. It's not going to happen normally even in a year. It's going to take, and the thing is, it's hard to keep that up for a long amount of time. And I tell people, this shit isn't for everybody. Like I see people preaching, all this shit's for everybody. Everybody can do it, but the reality is, everybody can't do it. And I know that people don't like that message because it's not positive, but you have to realize if you're great and exceptional in anything, like you see these athletes that really stand out, you see other things, it's because they aren't normal. And they
Yeah.
aren't normal, and we're not normal. And people that's why there's like 1% that you see that are entrepreneurs that are successful, because we're going against like what we talked about, everything society ingrains and all that kind of stuff. Like we're groomed from the beginning to follow this path. So not only do we get off of that path, but we have to work as hard, as consistent, be as disciplined as we are to reach success on that unbeaten path that most people are scared to go down. So this shit is not, it's not easy. It's very hard. And it's not for most people, because you're going against so many things that you're fighting against. What people
Yeah.
think, what society tells you, what your parents tell you, what your family tells you, what everyone tells you. Go to college, get a safe job, make a safe living. That's what they want us to do, right?
Yes.
So you get out what you put in. So if you're looking in the mirror and you're not where you want to be in any area, then check yourself on what you're putting in as
You know,
far as
Brian,
effort.
there's so much wisdom in that. And like the thing that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, he talks about that we have to look at our body as an operating system, and that basically you want to train it like a stallion. So, because our body will repeatedly over and over and over again tell us to stay the same, because change is perceived as a threat. So if
Mm-hmm.
we're, at least if we're aware of it, we can say, oh, my body is telling me this. Because if if we all know that when you put that hard work in, the way that you feel at the end of the day is unbelievable. And the
Mm-hmm.
confidence when you work out, when you don't work out, you know how you feel? You never feel great.
No.
But what,
Mm-mm.
and you're never disappointed after, well, maybe you think you were weak that day, but whatever.
Yeah.
But you know, so it's like, I feel like we have to know these things, that there's all these forces, and it's our job to just decide and do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And be in charge. Like I think of my body sometimes like a puppy. It's like, no, we're going here. Like, I want to get in bed. No, go there. Oh God.
For
Like, we're
sure.
dragging it. Put a
Well,
little
that's, I mean,
yeah.
just what you said. One of my secrets of success is doing shit I don't want to do every day. It's discipline.
Yes.
I'm more disciplined. Discipline is one of my strongest character traits. I do shit that I don't want to do every day. Doesn't matter. Nobody fucking cares. You still got to do it. Like the job has to get done. You're sick. You don't feel good. You're tired. None of that shit matters. And that's the thing, is I do that on a consistent basis over years, and look where it's got me. Right?
But you know what it is? It's because you know you're doing it. It's
Yeah.
intentional. You're
Mm-hmm.
deliberate,
Yeah.
intentionally saying, I'm going to do, it's like hard things aren't hard after 75 hard. It's just not
Yeah.
hard. You're, I
100%.
was just going to say something bad. Like you're a wuss if you can't go work
Yeah.
out in the pouring rain and trees falling around you. How
Yeah.
could you not do that? Because it
Mm-hmm.
feels great. But anyhow, so I'm going to respect your time, because I want you, maybe one day you'll come back.
Yes.
And Brian, I'm going to visit you. And let me just say something about Brian. I love Brian's wife. She is literally stunning. She is.
Mm-hmm.
She's a beautiful, beautiful woman.
100%. Yeah.
She really is. And she's just so sweet and kind. I really loved talking to her in Cancun or
Yes.
whatever.
I
I just,
appreciate that.
she's amazing. And I don't even remember her name. I'm sorry. What is her name?
Kelly.
Kelly?
Kelly.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm never going to forget it. But I just
Thank
loved
you.
her. And I was like, how could I even refer to her? Because I don't know her name. All right. I just want to thank you. And can you tell everybody where to find you, what you do? Because I really want you guys to follow him. You're never going to lose if you follow Brian.
100%. So it's just my first and last name. So just at Brian Nabavi. That's the #1 place to follow me. Yeah, that's it. Follow me there. Message me there. I respond to comments. I respond to DMs. Yeah, hit me up and let's contact. Obviously, my main company is Till You Collapse. That's the apparel brand. And then I have a coaching mentorship business. It's mindset, fitness, and business mentorship and coaching. And then, like I said, I've just recently gotten into the mushroom industry, psilocybin. I think that's going to be huge as far as what it does for people as opposed to pharmaceuticals. And this is a natural route, something that grows from the earth, microdosing and that kind of stuff.
Oh,
So
yeah, I would.
yeah,
I wish we talked more about that.
yeah.
Would you ever talk about it again?
Oh,
On another,
100%.
I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
tell people if I'm curious.
We can even get on a separate podcast, like 15, 20 minutes when I have more
Oh,
time
yeah.
and just talk
Yeah,
on that
let's do
because
that.
I think that goes in line with your
It
vibe,
does.
all the stuff you're talking about. It's
Yes.
crazy. You see the studies on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm because we want to know more about that.
Yeah,
It's
for
really
sure.
cool.
Yeah.
So listen, I think you're the best. I'm so
Thank you.
honored to have you.
I
You're just
appreciate
such a
it.
pleasure to talk to. And I just think you have so much value.
Thank
And
you.
honestly, his sweatpants are not sweatpants. His leggings are the best I've ever had. Like I get compliments. Honestly, Brian, I get compliments on my butt
Nice.
with those and
Nice.
never with any other one. Like
There
with
you
those,
go.
I'm like, shit,
Hell
Brian,
yeah.
I don't know what he's doing on my butt, but it's
I
worked.
like to hear that.
And,
Yes,
and it
I
doesn't
like to
have
hear
anything to do, maybe it has to do with my workout, but I don't think so.
it.
Thank you
It
so
does.
much, Brian.
Thank you. For
I'm
sure. It
honored.
was a great talk.
All
Okay.
right.
I'll
Bye,
talk to
hon.
you later. Bye.